Hello there and a very warm welcome. Do you ever have a really strong reaction to a certain place or a person, even a smell or a piece of music? Or do you have any habits that are making life difficult for you but you can't seem to stop? Maybe it's people pleasing, maybe it's overworking. Or do you have any unexplained medical conditions, maybe migraines, or perhaps you've been diagnosed with IBS? If so, today's video is for you. I want to share with you the importance of bringing awareness to our healing journey. Without awareness, we can't heal. These are all ways, amongst thousands of examples I could give you, that past trauma shows up in your life today. And before you say, but I don't think it was trauma, it can't have been that bad, let me remind you of what trauma actually is. It is an event or an experience that is overwhelming at the point when it happens, and you do not have the resources, the tools, the ability to deal with it at that time. Of course, we have trauma with a capital T, that is the sort of trauma that everybody recognises, being in a war zone or being in a serious accident. But there is also equally valid trauma with a small t, and these tend to be the hidden experiences of trauma, the sort of abuse that happens behind closed doors, for example. So, trauma, to recap, is something that is overwhelming and that you do not have the tools to deal with at that time. It's not being overdramatic to say that a narcissistic abusive relationship was traumatic or other types of emotional trauma were traumatic. They absolutely were. So let's go back to some of those examples I gave at the beginning. Those overreactions that other people may describe them as, or very strong emotional reactions in you to a place, a person, a voice, an accent, a piece of music, a smell even. This is a sign that your nervous system is remembering a time, a place, a situation when you felt unsafe. And it's being re-triggered because the healing work hasn't yet taken place. So this might mean you having a very strong emotional reaction. It might mean you going into yourself, becoming withdrawn and quiet in certain situations. Being aware of when and how this happens is the first step towards healing. It's a bit like having a faulty fire alarm system that keeps going off even though the fire happened long ago and has been dealt with. The alarm that is setting off for no apparent reason needs you to figure out which button in the control panel you need to press, how you need to reset it in order to stop it going off for no apparent reason when there is no smoke, when there is no fire. Similarly, bringing your awareness to your reactions to certain places, people, things, etc., will enable you to address those things that need to be soothed and healed within you. And what about those unwanted habits that I mentioned? Those things that you do that you probably wish you didn't do, but you think, well, I've always been like this. I've always been busy. I've never been able to relax. I've always been an anxious person. Maybe you find that you numb yourself with medication or with alcohol. Maybe you're a perfectionist. Maybe you are a workaholic. All of these things are actually protective mechanisms that once upon a time in the past kept you safe, enabled you to have some either feeling of control or enabled you to detach yourself from what was actually going on. It enabled you to dissociate in a way. Awareness of how trauma is showing up in these traits is your opportunity again to do the healing work, which involves acknowledging that these were once protective patterns that helped you, but now they are what we call maladaptive. They're not helpful to you. So you can become aware of them, accept, acknowledge, thank them for the job they once did. But now you are free and safe to choose other habits, other ways of doing things that are going to help you become the woman you were put on this earth to become. Everything I'm sharing with you in this video series is going to help you create a 360-degree healing path for yourself. I'm sharing with you the innermost parts of my empowered healing compass, and there are 4 key stages: awareness, healing, goal setting and growth. And awareness, of course, is the first step, which is why we're focusing on it today. If you want to join me on this journey, then don't forget to subscribe and click the bell. Let's get back to the main part of our video. Sometimes clients come to me with very debilitating experiences of anxiety, mood swings, strong feelings of guilt or shame, experiences of feeling detached from what's going on in everyday life. And they don't realise that these emotional states are connected to past trauma. Similarly, many have physiological symptoms and undiagnosed or very non-specific medical conditions like migraines or IBS. As you probably know, there is a very strong connection between the gut and the brain, and trauma has an impact therefore on the body as well as on our emotions. The body remembers those feelings of overwhelm, of hopelessness, of fear. And until we become aware that these symptoms are linked to past trauma, we can't do that healing work. We can't soothe our body. We can't heal those wounds. But once we are aware, the healing work can begin. Awareness extends to being aware and recognizing and validating that what we experienced was trauma. I spoke about that a few moments ago, and it is really important to give yourself permission to say, yes, that was traumatic. I have experienced trauma. When our body, when our mind knows that something isn't right, that we are not safe, it goes through a set of options in order to try and get us to safety. So that is flight, fight, freeze and appease. So our first response is to try and get out of that situation. We might not be able to. We might not be able to for physical reasons, but it can also be practical reasons. If you're in a toxic relationship and you feel that, or you feel you have to stay, for example, for the safety of your children, because you can't afford to get somewhere else where they can live safely and comfortably, you feel by managing the situation, even though it's toxic, that is the best you can do at that moment in time, although ideally you would all get out of there. It might be because your finances are restricted and you don't have access to money that would enable you to get out. The next set of options that our brain will direct us to is fighting, is trying to find some way of squaring up to the perpetrator, to the abuser, and sorting it out, or putting them out of the picture in some way. And for similar reasons to those I've just mentioned, that often isn't a possibility. Then we will go into a potential freeze state where we become numb. We don't know which way to turn. We know that we can't get out. We know that we can't fight them physically or in any other way. So we become like a rabbit caught in the headlights. And then there is the appease or the fawn response, which means that we recognize we are not safe, but we will do our best, at least in the short term, until we figure out our options for getting out. We will try to appease the abuser, the perpetrator. We will walk on eggshells. We will try to keep the peace. So if you have been overwhelmed by abusive, controlling, coercive behaviour, your body and mind, your whole system will have been trying to get you out of it, to get you to safety. So you need to have awareness, one, that your situation did constitute trauma. You're not being overdramatic, as I already said, and you couldn't do anything about it at that moment in time. But now, hopefully, you are out of it, or you have got a plan together, or you are getting a plan, or you have hope for yourself that you can get out. And you have got the awareness that it was trauma, awareness of why you were feeling overwhelmed, and awareness of the need to get out as quickly but as safely as you can, and the awareness that you are going to need to heal from this trauma. Without awareness that you went through trauma, without awareness of how that trauma is showing up in your body, in your behaviour today, you'll stay on autopilot. Nothing will change. But with awareness, you will begin to heal. You will be able to take back your power and experience that 360-degree healing path. I hope you stay on this journey with me. I hope this video has helped raise your awareness already. So join me next time, and until then, take really good care of you. Bye for now.